German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is visiting the site of a new $11 million semiconductor plant in eastern Germany. Now, the facility will be owned by 70% owned, I should say, by TSMC in partnership with several European chip makers. Let's get the details. Bloomberg's Oliver Crook joining us from Berlin all over that story. Ollie, walk us through the details of this project.
Yeah, so listen, they're breaking ground today in Dresden. Olaf Scholz will be there. So will the CEOs of all the other companies that are involved. So those are TSMC, Infineon, NXP, and Bosch. So just as a recap, 70% of this project will be owned by TSMC, but these other sort of European partners will each hold a 10% stake in it. And again, it's a 10 billion euro project. 5 billion of that, half of that is coming in a direct subsidy from the German government directly to this project in order to make it happen. And that is, of course, because the Germans are very keen on attracting this kind of industry to Germany. So a project today that breaks ground will not produce anything for another 3 years, so the end of 2027, but it will build chips that will feed the industrial sector as well as the automotive sector. For TSMC, it's really interesting because this is their first European plant that they have anywhere, and they've decided to do it here in Germany, and it's part of their slew of opening fabs all over the world. They opened one in Japan for the first time this year. They're spending $65 billion, as you were mentioning, Kriti, in Arizona on 3 fabs there. So really, really significant. And Ursula von der Leyen will be there today because the EU has stated they want to produce 20% of the world's chips by 2030. 2030 is not that far away. That seems almost impossible. But if they want to get at least a fraction of that, they need to get moving right now with projects like these.
Ollie, why Dresden? Why Germany? Did it just pay more?
Well, the answer to that, in short, is in part yes. So obviously, the Germans have been very keen to attract the semiconductor industry to Germany because, as we've talked about a lot on this show, Guy, the past sort of economic might of Germany is well established for several decades, dominating industries. The future is much less certain. They want to own the semiconductor space, so they're giving $5 billion to TSMC. They're giving $10 billion to Intel. So yeah, they're really ramping up the subsidies to attract this stuff. But why Dresden is because this is what they call Silicon Saxony. You have a number of very good universities here that do electrical engineering. You have Infineon already has a lot of fabs, and you need really specific things in order to cultivate the fab ecosystem. Things like, for example, very, very steady electricity supply, because if you don't have that, it fries the circuits and they're ruined. But more importantly, you need that labor force, and you need the people that can work in that. So as you build up more critical mass, Dresden is where the Germans want to do it, in Saxony more specifically. And, as of course, this also is to feed the auto sector, right? There are 600 chips that go into an internal combustion engine car. There are about 1,300 that go into an EV. So it's about securing, yes, the future of industry, but also the current industries within Germany.